What's going on, all you wild mutants? Logan Myerz back here for Cinephellas.com. Tonight I'm going to be talking about the brand new film that's finally being fucking released. This movie was filmed back in 2017. It's been pushed back and finally released. I'm so surprised by this actually released in theaters. Yes, I am. I'm talking about Josh Boone's brand new mutant film, The New Mutants. Let me start off by saying that I was really excited for this film. I like Josh Boone as a director for the most part. I love the cast in this movie: Maggie Williams, Anya TaylorJoy, and Charlie Heaton from Stranger Things. So the setup of the film, we have 5 mutants that are finding out about their powers, are being held at this hospital or facility against their will, and also fighting demons from their past and how to control this power. The setup of the film, we have like all the different personalities. Of course, they're going to clash. They had the teenage angst in this film, and a few of them don't really like each other. A few of the characters have accents that they really didn't pull off. Anya TaylorJoy has this thick European accent, and I felt like she went over the top of this character. And Charlie Heaton, who's British, has a southern accent, and it felt like at times he forgot to use the accent. Other times it was just like really in your face. 5 mutants were introduced to these characters, kind of a little bit of their backstories. Definitely more focus on Danielle Moonstar. She shows up at the facility. She's the new kid in town, new kid in school, and the rest of the characters are trying to get acclimated to her, get a feel for her, and Anya TaylorJoy's character hates her from the start because she's a threat to this group of kids. The Moonstar and Anya TaylorJoy's character kind of clash and fight throughout the movie. But the overall setup of the film I absolutely love. It's one of my favorite aspects of the film, this haunted, creepy looking mental facility hospital. It's like Halloween 2 meets Disturbing Behavior meets Nightmare on Elm Street. I think they paid homage to Nightmare on Elm Street more than anything in this film. Just certain scenes like in the shower, things coming out of the wall reminded me of like Freddy Krueger, and it definitely paying homage to Wes Craven's Nightmare on Elm Street. I like how they mix the comics of superheroes and superpowers into the horror movie genre at the same time. It really had a spooky feel to it and a place I would not want to visit. Throughout the course of the movie, these teenagers are really struggling to get through life and trying to face their own fears, their own demons. With that being said, we do have a lot of terrible CGI, especially towards the end, when we're finding out about these kids' powers and what their certain superpower is and how they use it. The CGI and effects look really shoddy. Definitely didn't look like on par with like something in the MCU. With the visual effects being really shitty, it really kind of takes you out of the movie. And when you're watching a superhero movie, you want to see what their powers are, how they pull these off. You want it to look believable and real, and I don't think they really succeeded in that aspect. I don't think the visual effects looked finished. They looked something out of an old video game, and you could tell it was obviously fake, and it kind of took me out of the film. And at the end of the film, they introduced my favorite animal, being the bear. And the CGI in that is god-awful. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I don't want to spoil anything if you guys haven't seen it, but the end leading up to this huge fight with the mutants against this animal, it just looks really fucking terrible, and CGI that I would have saw about 15, 20 years ago that just didn't look finished. Some of the characters and acting in this is actually pretty good. Maggie Williams' character, I thought she did a great job considering this is filmed 3 years ago. She was like a young kid back then, and now she's a woman. You know, obviously 3 years later, so you can see that she's older now, but she really sold the performance. I liked some of the effects they did with her character. One particular scene reminded me much of Nightmare on Elm Street with her in a shower and having to do with this demon showing up. I thought that was really well shot, and it was kind of spooky at the same time, the way they did the effects. You know, like the steam and stuff going on in the shower. I like that a lot. Charlie Heaton was definitely hit or miss in this character. Like I said, his accent kind of threw me off, having a southern accent, and sometimes it didn't feel like he had that southern accent. He was talking normal, and then it kind of go back. I don't know if it had to do with reshoots or if they reshot a few scenes, but it just didn't feel consistent throughout the movie, and it kind of took me away from the character. And same with Anya TaylorJoy. She was good, and then she was bad. So certain scenes, she was like really over the top and overacting in this character with her accent, and it just wasn't believable and really more comedic. And a few of the effect scenes with her powers and her eyes light up and shit just didn't look realistic, and it looked really fake, and I just couldn't buy that character. The other mutants they introduced in this movie are actually pretty good. I thought the other supporting cast was really pretty solid across the board, no real complaints. They introduced a doctor that's up to no good in this movie. She's kind of watching out these kids and making sure they're locked up and really controlling their powers and trying to overcome the demons from their past, and she's up to no good, as you can predict. And I predicted what she was going to be involved with towards the end of the film. With that being said, I was really excited to see The New Mutants. I've been waiting for this movie since 2017. It kept getting pushed back in terms of the release date. We finally got to see this movie released last weekend with movie theaters finally opening. Even though we have social distancing, you can go back in the theaters and watch a movie. This movie was definitely not good. You could tell there's a lot of problems with the editing, the visual effects, the story, the writing of the characters. Some of the acting was not good. But the best quality of the whole movie, I thought, was the atmosphere, incorporating horror into comics. In terms of the directing, I thought it was okay. I don't think it was great or terrible. Josh Boone probably did the best he could, considering he's been working on this for 3 years. At this point, he's probably tired of it, just wants to release it. We didn't think we would see this movie, with Fox and Disney merging, but who knows? We may get to see this on Disney Plus eventually. But it's definitely not the worst superhero movie I've ever seen. This is a lot better than the last X-Men movie, Dark Phoenix. That was atrocious and a pile of garbage from start to finish, and one of the worst superhero movies ever made, in my opinion. So it's definitely not as bad as that. So overall, The New Mutants is a movie I would recommend watching at least once, especially if you're a fan of superhero movies, X-Men, things like that. I would check it out at least once and just see kind of the vibe they're going for and how it's different compared to other movies of the genre. I appreciate some of the originality and uniqueness in this film. It's just poorly executed all around. So I'm going to give Josh Boone's brand new superhero movie, The New Mutants, a 3 out of 5 Charlie Heaton hair pieces. So if you guys have seen The New Mutants, what did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? What did you guys think of that terrible ending? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit subscribe. This is Logan Myerz signing out with the cast of The New Mutants. Man, those kids are wild. Until the next movie review, cheese!